I come once again to bring the messages of truth, encouragement, and light to humanity. My desire is that there is a great upliftment and awakening amongst all peoples of this world, so that they may come to know their true selves and know their souls, which reside within their being. No matter the race or culture or circumstance of each individual upon this planet, there is an opportunity for each one to have a personal relationship with the Creator. This is not relied upon specific religious doctrine or ideas of the mind, which may be a contradiction to this possibility of soul connection with God. These things matter not, beloveds, for God loves each of His children equally, whether they are Christian, Muslim, Buddhist or Taoist or whatever religion they may carry, and it does not influence nor diminish God's love for them. Religious doctrine or belief is often the result of a mind projecting and imagining spiritual truth, the truth of God. Even when I came upon the earth and spoke the truth that I understood and did so clearly and simply, that truth that I shared has now been distorted and is not accurate to any great degree in the book of knowledge that is considered the primary source of my teachings. The Bible does not say clearly what I spoke, and to some degree, it does not clearly describe my ministry. This is most unfortunate, for when I walked the earth, I had a clear knowledge of the truth of God's love, and how each soul may obtain it and grow with it as they pray earnestly for this gift. Yet, few have truly understood this truth. Even my disciples, of which there were many more than stated in the Bible, did not truly come to know this truth until they experienced Pentecost and their eyes were opened to the potentials of their soul and their soul's relationship with their Creator. My materialization on earth after my crucifixion was the last gift that I gave as a soul guided by God and intended to walk the earth as His instrument and channel of truth. I spoke to my brethren. I appeared before them as if in the flesh. I gave to them the message that I had given previously but with emphasis. My brothers and sisters were truly entranced with my message and being before them, because within their minds, this was truly miraculous that I reappeared on the earthly plane for their benefit and communication with them. Yet, my message was no different from when I walked the earth in the flesh. I merely wished to emphasize the truth of the great gift of God's love available to all. When I left the world and did not appear again, and that my brothers and sisters recognized that I had ascended into the celestial heavens in my spirit body, they were greatly distraught, for they mourned my death on the cross, and then they mourned again my disappearance, which happened some days later, or shall I say, my appearance and then disappearance. Yet, through Pentecost their souls were afire with the understanding of this truth and the amount of transformation that took place within them as a result of this gift, this great inflowing of love from God. Many of them dispersed through the known world, and spoke of this message. Many of them paid the price, as I paid the price, for speaking the truth. Yet if you ask them or myself whether they would retrace those steps in the flesh, we would all acknowledge that the opportunity to speak the truth and to share this truth with others was indeed a great blessing and very, very worthwhile, for as you walk in the world as God's instruments and speak the truth, bringing love, peace, and healing to others, you too are greatly blessed. You too receive this great blessing from God more readily, for you are thinking and acting within the truth of God, the light of God, and the will of God when you express yourselves in this way and share of yourselves the great bounty of God's blessing upon you. I encourage each individual soul who is well aware of this gift and prays for it daily that they may speak the truth to their brothers and sisters, and not concern themselves with the response and reaction that may come, for in this highly material world, a world far less open to spirituality than the world that I lived in while I walked the earth, it is inevitable that many will reject your words and this truth. Yet, As time continues to unfold, and God's plan unfolds with it, there will be greater receptivity and desire to seek answers that are beyond the material, answers that pierce the soul and open the individual to their spiritual selves. Many are seeking today, but their search is often for truths and information that satisfies the mind and is more congruent with the linear thought and intellectualism of today. It is unfortunate that the religious institutions of today, and I speak primarily of those that are of Christian origins and belief, have distorted the truth to such a degree that many reject their message. Those who adopt it have understood and received some measure of truth, but also a measure of ignorance and error. The way of God's love is the way of non-judgment, a full and unequivocal love, unconditional in its nature, encompassing all of God's creation. A religious institution seeks to put barriers and limits to the expression of this simple truth, piling upon the individual many layers of explanation and dogma, and mechanisms of control, which insist upon the acceptance and acquiescence to the message and will of these institutions. Yet, does God put limitations on His love? Do we in the celestial spheres put limitations on our coming to you and being with you? The only limitations that exist are those within the individual, whose minds and will often preclude us coming close or God's blessings upon the soul. Those who continue to engage powerfully within their mindful consciousness unable to put aside these conditions, which often greatly restrict the inflow of this love into the soul, even when they pray with great intensity. This blessing is given to those who are in alignment with the laws of God's love, which say that you must desire this with all of your heart, soul, and mind to receive it, accepting its gift, and allowing it to work within the soul and more subtly, within the consciousness and mind of the individual. The experience of receptivity and blessings is often colored by the dominance of the mind and the limitations of the mind. It is important that the individual releases these barriers, going deeper than these conditions, feeling the blessing of God's love surrounding them and inflowing into them, having faith that this is truly the answer to their prayers, having knowledge that in order for this gift to be given it must be longed for deeply, sincerely, in prayer and supplication to God. In a world such as yours, often the goal within the individual is to resist supplication to anything or anyone. It is a sign of weakness, a message that is given by many cultures in your world at this time. To be humble is to be vulnerable. To have faith in something greater than themselves is considered a crutch and a great flaw in the personality of the individual. Unfortunately, this is an all too common attitude by those who do not consider that God exists or that they wish to communicate with God. So they deny a great portion of who they are with this attitude. Their minds are closed off from the great truth and gift from God that could be theirs. Yet, even so, when the individual experiences a great crisis and deep within them their souls cry out, is this not a prayer to God? When one utters the phrase, "Oh my God," is this not acknowledgement of something that is serious and may have deep consequence to that individual? Within their souls, they know that God exists, yet their souls are ignored, walled off by the mind. Consequently, the individual becomes entirely focused upon the material aspects of life. Their reality is limited by the information that they receive through their five senses. Their minds are totally reliant upon the experiences and education and thought patterns that have evolved over the years of experience of life that they have received. Your secular society, the materialism of the Western world, is choking off the life that God wishes for all His children and all His creatures to thrive within. The reality of the individual's mind is this reality, this set of perceptions, biases, thoughts, and deeds, so limited that even when the soul cries out, even when pain accumulates within the individual, a pain that is often the result of the individual not feeling that they are loved, not receiving the nourishing qualities of love, whether that be of the natural man or the divine. They are numb to this. They cannot feel. Feeling is a state of vulnerability. Feeling is often accompanied by a sense of despair, a hollowness within the individual. Yet, deep within, is a seeking soul. Yet the soul came from God and is seeking to be reunited with its Creator. This deep and fundamental longing within every soul is rarely acknowledged. When, by chance, the individual comes to connect with this longing, rather than a sense of appreciation, an igniting of desire, there is fear and rejection of that vulnerable and painful place. Those who have moved beyond that place, who have acknowledged of that longing and have found the answer to it, finding their way to God, whether they understand the principle of divine love, they have found God in some way and have accepted God's presence in their lives. Many of these individuals are receiving the great gift of divine love within their souls or have had at least some experience of it. In due time, they will come to understand what this experience is and how they may utilize the knowledge of it to receive more of this great gift so as to transform their souls and seek entrance into the celestial kingdom. Unfortunately, the vast majority of humanity is unaware of the potentials of their soul and the great possibility of an intimate, powerful, and profound connection with their Creator. As your world continues to change and be transformed by God's blessings upon it, as it continues to react to the great pressure of the human condition, creating chaos and disharmony, so humanity will come to realize what power each individual carries. A power that can inform their present state of light or darkness, and contributes to their present state of light or darkness in the world. The actions of the individual inform the future, for every action has its result, its reaction, whether that be the interaction of molecules and atoms in God's universe, or whether that is the interaction of an individual with other individuals or the material aspects of your world. These responses are cumulative and can be very powerful in influencing and changing various conditions within the world. You have come to understand that the weather of your planet is changing dramatically. You have come to understand that it is the result of the actions of humanity influencing the weather in this way. But I wish to tell you that there are many other aspects of your world that are heavily influenced by humanity. The power that you carry in your thoughts and deeds, in your light and attitudes, in your day-to-day activities has a great bearing upon the conditions of your world. Your Mother Earth is a sensitive creature. It takes on that which you project within it. You not only pollute this world by your activities, but you also pollute the world by your thoughts. Most of these thoughts are not in harmony with God's creation and with this world. Your motivations continue to seek to take from your Mother Earth all that you can and to add to the world masses of pollutants and garbage and lack of consideration for the vital elements of the earth, its air, waters, and land. Many of you know this. Your scientists have informed the world that presently human activity cannot be sustained in the way that it is expressed. Unfortunately, your governments and industries are slow to respond, for the momentum of these aspects of human endeavor are great indeed and cannot reverse their course readily. Because humanity is so naive and immature, there is an expectation that their present way of life, that all their material needs will be met, even though profound changes must take place in the way that humanity lives upon this earth. Few understand or wish to look into the great dynamics and intricacies of human endeavor. Rather, most close their eyes to such things, for they are too busy in their industry and efforts to gain more material, filling their lives with the outcomes of these material endeavors. This severe materialism, which has its origins within the mind, is numbing the individual to the deeper aspects of their being. It is numbing them from their own emotions, their own intuition, their own insights which come from the soul. I have spoken of this many times, how materialism is a great distraction in your world. Because of the intensity of this materialism, many will suffer greatly when the opportunities to live within this reality, this sense of how one must live a life, falls by the wayside as the world changes and responds to the pressures that humanity has put upon it and to the interventions of God. An individual cannot live their life in error and expect no consequences from this, for the way of God's universe is to respond to every act. There is an outcome to every thought. Each individual, to some degree, is the master of their own destinies. The power of thoughts and attitudes within the individual is great indeed. God has blessed you with many things, many gifts, and many opportunities to express those gifts, not only gifts of the spiritual, but gifts of the material, how the body may move, interact with the world, how the mind may imagine many things and bring them to reality, how humanity is able to act together to bring about many envisioned creations. These are truly gifts, gifts that I would not deny any individual, nor would God. Humanity also has the capacity for reasoning, wisdom and knowing that is beyond reasoning. Yet wisdom is not strongly emphasized in your societies. Rather, compliance is the major imperative to do your part in the world in order to sustain this present reality that has been created in the world. Thus, you are rewarded with many material benefits for these endeavors, thereby reinforcing and encouraging the continuation of this attitude and reality. As I have said, this will change dramatically, for the world will respond to the ignorance and lack of sensitivity that many carry within it. The world is reacting to what humanity is imposing upon it. These reactions will become more severe and will lead to the collapse of your structures and ways of living in the world. God is intent on resetting the world and giving humanity another chance to start anew, to walk in the world in greater harmony with the laws of creation, the laws of love. As the old structures fall, great assistance and opportunities to learn and grow within this new way, ways that are in harmony with God, will be given freely and abundantly. I have said that the world will be given a great opportunity and blessing to start anew. Those within the great mass of humanity who are willing to accept this, to be in alignment with it, will thrive within this new world. Their progeny will thrive and the world will thrive within, and with humanity and its endeavors. You will find your way, beloveds, the way to truth and light, enlightenment and opening to the wisdom and knowledge of your soul. The love that you carry from birth and the love that shall come with the blessings of God upon your soul, will be freely expressed and appreciated in the new world. You will readily release the old and worn attitudes and thoughts of a life lived within materialism and distance from God. God's presence will be known by you all. You will come to understand the deep truths that He wishes to give to each of you. You will come to understand what a glorious creation you are, great potentials and great abilities. When these potentials and abilities are exercised and expressed with love and wisdom, guided by God, the potential to create a paradise on earth will come with it. You will truly know something wondrous, joyful, magnificent. You will come to experience the assistance and help that will come from those of your brothers and sisters from other planets. Much will be given. Much will be given, beloved souls. Worry not for the future. Consider the present and your own soulful condition and how you may remedy any things that are not in harmony with this new condition and with God. Be true to yourselves. Be true to God. You will be guided, beloveds. You will continue to be guided, protected, and cared for in the light of God. May God bless you upon this journey. May humanity be blessed upon the journey of their awakening and the truth that will come with this. May you truly be His children reflecting love, light, and joy. All is given with this blessing that is of God's love. All will come in harmony with this, truly manifesting in the harmony and grace that is God's creation, His intention for every soul. God bless you, beloveds. I am your brother and friend, Jesus, and I love you. God bless you.
you.